everyone, it's Sarah Jane. So I figured I'd come outside and enjoy the beautiful weather today and do some reviews out here. So I watched 4 new movies in the past 2 weeks that I haven't reviewed yet, and I decided that I was going to just mash them up into one video and review them from my favorite to my not so favorite. Now that doesn't mean that they're not all good. It just means that I have a certain style that I prefer compared to everyone else. So the ones that I liked the most, they were more like party ones and inspiring yourself and feeling good about yourself. So those are the ones that I picked as my favorites. There's only 4 of them. I didn't watch like Overboard or there's a couple others out that I didn't really look at. Like I Feel Pretty. I decided against watching that because it sounded like it lacked conviction. I still might watch it, but currently I'm not really looking into that. So the ones I'm going to talk about today are Book Club, Life of the Party, Adrift, and Action Point. So the first one that I watched was Book Club. I really liked Book Club. It shows a variety of relationship issues that can occur when you get like past 40. But honestly, I've seen people have issues with those in their 30s or even their 20s sometimes. So Book Club, without ruining it too much, I really liked that Book Club was about a group of girls who, essentially the foundation of it was based on friendship, and I really liked that. A group of friends who have been with each other for a very long time. And I think that that's really important to have some friends that you can connect to for that long. I only have one friend other than my boyfriend Tony, who I've known for longer than a couple years, who I'm kind of close with. I'm actually not as close to them as I used to be, but I really liked that it was about friendship first and foremost, and then it went into relationships. So as you guys have seen from the trailer, they read 50 Shades of Grey. There's 4 people. One is a married woman who could never keep her hands off her husband for a very long time, had a whole bunch of kids, and now they're struggling in their marriage. The second one got divorced 18 years ago and hasn't tried to fall in love or do anything in a sexual romantic way with anyone in 18 years. All she has is a cat. And then there's the single woman who parties, got really successful, got her own hotel that's taken off really well. She was proposed to when she was younger, and the guy said no. And then the 4th person, who I found to be the most entertaining story, her husband died a year ago. She's still trying to recuperate, but she's starting to fall in love with someone who she actually found on an airplane, who ends up being a pilot later on. And she has an overprotective family who just wants her to move to where they are, which is Arizona, and get over it. So, that really sucks for her, because she's not like, they keep saying, oh yeah, you're too old, Mom, we have a walk-in bathtub and non-slip flooring and all this, you need to be careful. And she wants that adventure, and she wants to be able to live her life, and they're trying to force her to leave her book club. They're trying to force her to uproot her life and move to where they moved. And at the end of the film, which, a little bit of a spoiler, you can fast forward a couple seconds and you should be okay. She puts her foot down and she decides that it's my life, I'm gonna live it, and I'm gonna love this pilot. There's some humor in that. So she finds this pilot who really likes her and hits on her and ends up inviting her to stay with him in his beautiful house, and her daughters report her missing because she left her phone on the porch and forgot about it when going for a walk. So they show up with the police, and it's a humorous story. They're all kind of humorous in their own way. The woman who hasn't gone out in 18 years finally goes out. The woman who has her husband, they haven't made love in 6 months, and she's just trying to kindle that spark, which is humorous because he's not getting it. And then the single woman, the man who she denied proposing to so long ago, is actually trying to date her again. So yeah, that's book club. I really liked that film. I just want to keep moving forward with this, but yeah, book club I think was my favorite, just because of the variety of relationship issues that they show, and ultimately it had to do with the friendship sticking together, and they read all 3 books of 50 Shades of Grey. They encouraged each other to be romantic with other people and try to have that spontaneity in their lives, and it worked. So my second one is Life of the Party. So I know Life of the Party had poor reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but I really liked Life of the Party. So part of my reason why is that the film shows that it's not just teens fresh out of high school who get a degree. It's non-traditional students as well. Now, if you don't know what a non-traditional student is, it's a student who takes time off and goes to work or goes to do something else. It's a student who is working on finding a way to it's different. Like, it can be military, it can be like me. I'm a non-traditional student. I took 5 years at community college to figure myself out. I didn't want to be that person who spent all this money on a 4-year school and not go anywhere. So this woman in this movie, it's Melissa McCarthy who plays her, of course. She is awesome. I think I'm gonna move, because there's a lot of issues with the sun, and I am currently working actually to get a new editing software, but right now that plus my computer isn't really working very well, so I'm just gonna move. This is my dog Daisy. Daisy, hi baby girl. So yeah, we're just spending some time outside. We're gonna move again. Okay, so yeah, Life of the Party is one that I really like because she is a non-traditional student. She has a daughter it's actually her senior year. At a 4-year college, and she's trying to figure her stuff out. Her daughter is finally graduating, figuring her stuff out, but her mother was forced to drop out of school. going into her senior year, because her husband said, no, I'll take care of it, I'll pay the bills, I'll do that, you shouldn't be doing that, because she was pregnant with her daughter. So she dropped her life for her husband and for her child, and you don't need to do that. You can take online classes, you can do anything you can push to finish your degree. And it sounded like she was going for architecture, and she really liked it. Like, that was a passion of hers. And he wasn't having it. So it was even more of an insult when the jerk left her. They literally just left their daughter, said goodbye to her. She was starting her school year, and he just said, oh yeah, I'm seeing someone else. I'm seeing someone else. I love them. I want a divorce. So she wasn't okay. She was trying to get through her life and move on. And within like a week, she decided she was going back to school. She had a year left. She was going to go back to school and finish her degree. So, spoilers. Her daughter didn't like that at first, but a lot of her daughter's friends really enjoyed her. Like, she was a very talkative girl. She was like the teacher's favorite, and the teacher always said that, but the teacher actually went to school with her when she was younger, which was a really fun thing to show someone who is the same age as you could be doing something completely different, be super successful, super high on the totem, or they could be lower and still working. It's your journey. It's not theirs. You're working on your journey. So don't be jealous of other people. I mean, I understand why you would. I have some friends who are very successful now who were in my graduating class, but I'm happy for them. My journey is my own, and I'm going to take my time with it. So I really liked Life of the Party for those reasons. She did graduate. She had a boyfriend who was much younger than her, who actually ended up being, so her ex-husband's wife, it was her son. So it was a pretty interesting story and a pretty interesting way to twist that around. She kept saying she wasn't going to see him anymore, and then she ended up seeing him. At one point, she got cut off of finances, so they tried to save some finances through her daughter's chapter house, which actually she joined. So yeah, that one was a really good film. The next one is Adrift. I actually saw this today. Adrift is like an individual Titanic type story. Like, they fell in love on land and were actually dating for a few months before they decided to set sail. But they set sail for San Diego, which is actually where the female character Tammy was from. And she didn't want to go back, but she decided she was going to follow Richard, her boyfriend, anywhere. And he really wanted her to sail with him. She was wild, rebellious, and it was something that she really wanted to do, and she loved him so much, so she was going to do it. So it takes place on the water. The movie starts in a really crazy way. Here's where the spoilers come for this. You might want to fast forward like maybe 5 minutes. The movie starts when the movie starts with her being trapped at sea. She just woken up. There's blood all over her head. She's got this big gash in her head. She's wearing this yellow suit that I'm guessing is what they use when storms hit, because it was a tropical depression, they called it. However, they talked during that on the radio, and I believe it went up to a hurricane. Even if not, a tropical depression on a boat is really a serious thing. They were getting paid $10,000 to transfer this boat to San Diego for this nice older couple whose the woman's mother or father had just passed or was really sick. So they needed someone to bring it there for them because they were all on like a tropical beach and they ran into each other. So she woke up completely in a mess, and then they kept doing flashbacks to how they got there and what happened, and she finds her boyfriend and everything is hunky-dory and they're just trying to survive, and he keeps saying, I'm sorry you ever met me, you wouldn't be here in this situation. She's like, I wouldn't change it for the world, I still love you. And his femur is cracked in two. It's just disgusting. If you can't handle those things, you have to look away. I had to look away for some of it because it looked really infected. He also had some really cracked ribs, like his stomach was almost black. Like I said, she had this big gash on her head. She ended up taking a needle and threading and sewing up the gash in her head because they were out there for 41 days. But she really loved him. And here's another spoiler. In some places it kind of plays a trick on you, like Life of Pi type playing a trick on you. So he's nowhere to be found. She finally sees him on the dinghy that floated away and goes and rescues him. Turns out from that moment all the way towards the end, he was never there. He didn't have a shattered leg. I mean, he might have, and he might have had cracked ribs, but she'll never know because he actually hit his head when she was going down into the bunker part. He was behind her and a wave hit and knocked him off, hit his chest or his leg, and then he hit his head and just sank to the bottom and died. So she ended up surviving. She finally found someone and ended up surviving. But it was really hard to watch that because she loved him so much. And actually, right before that happened, as we find out through the flashbacks, he actually proposed to her and she said yes. And we know that's true because at the end she has the ring that he made her to propose with. So it's a very romantic and very sad film. I cried like a baby, especially at the end, because this is actually based on a true story. So, that's why I decided after watching that movie to watch the last one I'm going to talk about, which is Action Point. I decided I needed a laugh. Now, Action Point is like the stars Johnny Knoxville, so Jackass and all those films we all know. I'm actually not a super huge fan of those films. I prefer to watch more like a comedy relief films, like with inside jokes, like Deadpool. I've got more of a, I guess, morbid humor other than falling and hurting yourself, because I fall and hurt myself all the time, and I hate when people laugh at me when I'm like in serious pain. So it was interesting to watch this film because it was humorous, and yeah, you obviously saw a lot of those pain things, but it was a lot more than that. I really liked the story in this. It showed like the old-timey parks and how someone would get hurt and you would just shake it off. There would be no lawsuits and all that. And I mean, yeah, back then, okay, that might have happened. That might have been a thing. But I thought it was really humorous that they had Johnny Knox's old, like, bad grandpa telling the story to his granddaughter, who apparently never heard it from her mother, his daughter. And his daughter is kind of like the center of the film. She's being overlooked. She wants to go see the Clash, which is the cool band back in the day, and there's a band touring like right out by them, which of course that same night is the same night that he was served papers and sued for being unsafe, because the guy who's been trying to get his park, who works with Seven Parks, which is the big amusement park that's safe and grand, similar to Six Flags. I think they were trying to tease Six Flags, or like have Six Flags be a thing there. But he was just sued because that guy's son decided to go on one of the rides, and technically he was forced into it by his father, but beside the point, he hurt his wrist. I mean, I don't think he really hurt his wrist. I think he was goofing off on that. I think he was fine. I think they were just trying to find a way to get him out. But yeah, at the end, the park actually does close. I mean, when you're unsafe, that's what happens. But they decided one last thing. Spoiler, guys. You take they sign the title over and then let him go crazy. Let all the kids run loose, break everything, set things on fire. They did fireworks at the end of the night to say goodbye to the park. And it was an okay film. He decided he was going to spend more time with his daughter and go to New York, which is where her mother and stepfather lived. So, yeah, and the whole time he's telling this story from New York with his grandchild. So, in some, it's this jackassy, humorous type thing, and I mean, I didn't laugh as much as the people behind me did, because, like I said, when people fall and stuff, I'm not a big fan of that. I also hate snakes. There's a couple snakes in it. But there were still some humorous parts. I still laughed at some of them. And there are some things that they do that are pretty good. So, yeah, I feel like this movie was a little more story-oriented. Yeah, there was constant jackassery happening behind it. But I really liked the fact that they had a story based off of that, and kind of moved the story along. So it made me feel a lot better after Adrift. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments if you've seen any of them and what you thought of them. Also, let me know what to watch next. I am a employee at a movie theater, so I do get free movies. Just let me know what you want to hear in the comments and what you want me to review, and I'll let you know. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.